Hey, 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 Grow Girls. It's Brandi and Cesley, and we're back with Blooming Through Faith, the podcast that helps you grow and bloom in your mindset, lifestyle, health, and wealth. We want you to know that you are capable, beautiful, and worthy. Okay, before we get started and we jump into this episode where we are going to talk about kindness, we want to take a second to thank you guys. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for reaching out to us. Thank you guys for being part of our community. Because when we started this last year, we were thinking about it for years and we had to have a little bit of faith over fear and just jump in. And it's by no means huge, but we have
But we have listeners.
sweetest. Yes, we have listeners, we have you guys, and we have the best community. And when you guys message us and you tell us that you took this away or you feel a certain way and you give us ratings, we love the ratings on the podcast. But please, when you listen to it, message us because it gives us life. It makes us so happy. It reminds us of why we're doing this. And this is to touch a woman and help them realize that they're not alone and help them grow in their mindset and their lifestyle and, overcome grief and healing. And so we have a big purpose here in Blooming Through Faith. And we are so thankful that you guys are a part of it. So please, anytime something touches you, message us. We're going to continue to build things out. I will say, Cesley and I are in a season. We are in a season. We are both in these seasons where new things are happening. It is very busy, but at the end of the day, we want you guys to know, and I'm going to have Cesley talk a little bit about it too, that like this is our mission and our purpose. This is like one of the most favorite things that we do. And we have so much vision to grow Blooming Through Faith, to have workshops for you guys, to have in-person retreats for you guys, to do different journals and books and all kinds of fun stuff. So stick with us, okay? We are going to build this bad boy out. But for now, we can promise you an episode a week.
And we have lots of kids too.
Yes, true.
Little kids. But we are only here because there are mentors who believed in us and led us through like some of the hardest things in our life. We have brought each other through some of the hardest moments of our lives. And so if there's anything that we want you guys to feel, it's that if you feel like you don't have other people who understand what you go through, what you're struggling with, you have us. And so if we can just feel like your best friends who are helping you get through anything and everything and helping you grow to be the best version of yourself possible, and that you can grow through what you go through, that is our mission. It is our livelihood. That's why God put us on this planet, is to help you really see your worth in who he created you to be. And so we are so lucky to be here. We're lucky that you listen to us.
We are. We're lucky and we love you. And what I love what you just said, like our slogan, you grow through what you go through. People are starting to say it. Like people are starting to say it. And I'm like, what?
I love that.
Like when we started that, it's so fun. Love
there will
it.
eventually be hats and things.
Yeah. I can't
when
wait.
we
Hats
can get
great.
it together.
One day, we
One
promise.
day.
It might not be soon, but it will happen. We promise. All right, so let's jump into this episode. And I know we always say we're passionate about this episode, but this is a big one for us. All right, so we want to talk about sprinkling kindness like confetti. We want you guys to stop and think, what does kindness mean and what are people going through, right? So in today's fast-paced world, we often forget the simple power of kindness. Every person you meet is fighting battles you may not know about. And you know what? Your words or your actions can make the biggest difference in somebody's life. All right. And I'm going to go as far as saying like somebody could be having a bad day and on the verge of doing something not great, and your actions towards them, and I'm going to be honest, could push them over that limit. Right. So we have to realize that there's power in our actions. There's power in our words. All right. So in this episode, we are going to talk about the importance of kindness and how we can change someone's day and why we should sprinkle kindness around like confetti wherever we go. We'll talk about the ripple effect and the effects of being kind, right? And how even small gestures can have such a great impact.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it's so important too, when we think about kindness, it's not just It's not just innately who you are, because we all have bad days, we all have bad moments. I was actually just telling Brandy that this morning I was having a little bit of a moment and I had to intentionally choose to do something kind for someone that I was struggling a little bit in having a decent relationship with. And I had to stop my like inner fleshly desire to be like, okay, you know what? My maiden name's about to show up and I'm about to like get really rough. And I had to stop and go, you know what? What I actually need to do is do something kind for this person, because that's what's going to fix my heart, my desires, and my want for this person. And so I think it's really important that we go into this knowing that being kind is a great thing, but being intentional with your kindness is so, so important. So first thing I want to talk about is like understanding the hidden battles that people go through. Brandi and I have been very honest about our lives throughout this podcast and the fact that we both have people within our family who have died way too soon. My stepdad, who raised me, who is one of my heroes, passed away through suicide probably about 8-9 years ago now. It's been a while now. But if anyone were to bring up his name, the first thing someone would say is that he was the happiest, most outgoing, most fun person that you have ever met in your entire life. And for news like that to come as such a shock, because you had no idea that someone was struggling like that, it can be really hard to get past. And it did take me years to get past that and say, okay, like it isn't my fault that I didn't know what he was going through, but what I can do moving forward is choose to be really intentional in how I treat every single human being I interact with. Because just like I had no idea that he was struggling like that, you have no idea how anyone else is struggling like that. And it's been really beautiful actually to see, my brother kind of struggles with the same sort of things that my stepdad struggled with. And so for everyone, all of the women in my family now, for us to all turn around and say, you know what? This is how we're going to handle this. And this is how we're going to come around this person. And this is how we're going to love them and intentionally treat them with kindness, changes everything. Like it's going to save his life. Do you know what I mean? So we don't know what people are going through behind closed doors. And every single person you meet has a story, has a struggle, whether it's mental health, whether it's personal challenges, whether they're just having a bad day. Like I can tell you as a woman, some mornings I wake up and it's just bad. Like I just have to get myself out of this bad mood. And so being kind allows you to create an environment of support and empathy for somebody. And it doesn't take a lot. It really doesn't. It just takes you have to release a little bit of yourself in order to be kind to others. So empathy really requires you to take yourself out of the equation and not think about this person in how they impact you and how they affect you and what they can do for you, but really just see them as a child of God and really realize that God might have put you in that place. This could be somebody that you don't even know, the person in front of you in line at the grocery store, right? And maybe they're having a rough interaction with the cashier in front of them, and maybe they're being rude. Like you have to stop and think, instead of going, oh, well, now they're affecting my day and I'm behind and I'm going to be late. Stop and think about them just as a child of God, that God has put you behind them in order to help them to have a better day. Like you never know what someone's going through, and you could really be the difference in changing their day, changing their week, changing their entire life.
So I like what you just said, right? So imagine standing behind somebody who's being rude to a cashier or who's being rude to somebody, and the first thing you want to do is be like, ew, gross. You're being, but again, we don't know what they're going through. Did they just find out that their mom had cancer? Did they just find out that they were cheated on? Like, did they just find out that they lost their job? Right? So that's the mindset that we always have to have, is we don't realize the battles that somebody else are going through. So they, even if they're not showing up kind, doesn't mean that you don't. You can still show up kind. You can show them how to act. And on this same note, I was actually on a call today with a group of amazing women. One who was sharing her story, and it really resonated with me. She was going through a divorce. Okay, so it was a 4.5-year divorce. Her ex-husband was verbally, emotionally abusive, and she had, job in finances and manager and banking, all that stuff. And so she got a message from her husband in all the ways that he was thinking about killing her. Okay. And she's in her business
Lovely.
attire, right? Goes into work. And guess what? She had to put on a face. She had to be strong. She had to get through it. She had to figure out. And then she goes and gets a restraining order, right? And so that was so powerful for me because so many people are like, oh, she's got it together. Oh,
Yeah.
she's happy. Oh, this is okay. But you truly never know the battle that somebody is fighting internally, and just being nice can go a long way. Okay. So
Yeah.
let's jump into the ripple effect of kindness. Okay. So kindness has a contagious quality. When we are kind to others, others are most likely to be kind in return. Like I just said, that person in front of the line that was mean, maybe we're kind to them. And instead of them being mean to somebody else, maybe they decide to be kind to somebody else, right? Were you ever, I don't know, do you get happy when somebody opens the door for you, right? Do you get happy when somebody says, oh, you have a great smile. Oh, I love those shoes. Like those tiny little things. Like I should say we want to, together, Cesley and I want to challenge you. When you see something about a stranger that you love, tell them, right? If there's somebody in your life, I actually, on my social media, I just did a kindness challenge. And I think, Cesley, you and I should do one with Blooming Through Faith, and we'll put it on our Instagram page because it was just such a great ripple effect. Anyway, I was like, anyway, what was I saying? I was saying that, okay, so first time, if you see some stranger that you know, something about them, tell them. But also, if there's somebody on your heart, if there is a friend, if there's a family member, if there's just somebody that you can think about, that there's a quality about them that you love, message them and say, Cesley, I love your heart. You know, Aunt Jackie, I love your style. Like my Aunt Jackie, I'm obsessed with her style, right? So like just random things like that. And you never know what they might be going through. They might be going through a really bad meeting, or they're angry, or something has happened. And you send them that text and it's like, oh, it makes their day and it changes their mindset, right? Acts of kindness can spread through communities, workplaces, creating more of a positive atmosphere, right? So you guys, even like going to Starbucks and paying for the car behind you, and then they pay for the car behind them, they pay for, right? Or Dunkin' Donuts, if that's your jam. If you're like, nah, girl, I don't do no Starbies, that's like $15 a coffee. Cool. Go to Dunkin'. Or, you know, just those tiny little things do have a ripple effect. All right. And just encouraging kindness in others creates a cycle that benefits everyone. So when I did this kindness challenge, God put it on my heart, right? So Cesley and I wake up every day and we say, God, speak through us. How can we live out your mission? You know, what you have in our lives through you. And so I do that every day, and I use social media. And that's when the kindness challenge happened. And so all of these women that are in the kindness challenge are like, oh, I feel so much better. Oh, I X, Y, and Z. Oh, I did this. And oh, I did this. And people were kind back. And like, it really, truly, like, you can be the one that creates change.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what I love about what you just said is that it doesn't take a lot. And one of my favorite things to do is, so I wake up in the morning and I try to pray first thing in the morning, and just I try to pray first thing in the morning, and I try to make sure that I'm like intentionally thinking about people. And as soon as I get done like praying, close my Bible, stop whatever I'm doing, I will immediately text at least 2 to 3 people. I try to make it 5, but literally just something. It doesn't even have to be a compliment. Like one of my friends said that she was going to spend, she works in ministry. And so once a month she does a day with the Lord. Like it's for their ministry, which I think is so, like they require them to take like a full day of work and go just spend time with the Lord, go to the park, go get coffee. And so I just texted her and said like, hey, how was your day with the Lord? Like just showing intentional love to people is really important. Another thing that like Brandi mentioned, yeah, that I really love is like getting coffee for somebody. Every week that I have a team that serves for me at church, I will pick one classroom that's serving and just ask them what their favorite coffee order is and order them coffee. So I'm not buying coffee for the whole like serving team every single Sunday, but I wrote, so it's like 2 or 3 cups of coffee a week. You know, I understand that's not in everybody's budget. You get there as you kind of go up in leadership. You want to be more gracious and more giving. And it's just so sweet for them to get there and feel loved on and appreciated. And like the other day I was at the gym and this girl, who you could tell was probably like one of her first or second times in the gym. She was maybe with her boyfriend. Like, I don't make assumptions. I don't know who he was. Could have been like her brother. I don't know. She was with a dude. And he
Okay,
was
but
like,
wait, you don't make assumptions.
but I just
However,
made
I
that
feel
assumption.
like there's a difference between a boyfriend and a brother.
Well, that's what I
So
mean.
those
She was being loving with him. And so I'm going to hope it,
loving.
you know, people are weird. I don't know. Okay. But like, she was in the gym with a man who was lovingly coaching her. So you could tell she didn't really know what she was doing. And before I left, I like turned around and went back and I was like, excuse me. And she kind of looked at me like I was going to like, I don't know, throw something at her or something. You know, when people talk to you in the gym, you're like, whoa, what are you doing? And I was like, I just want to tell you, you are doing such a great job. And I've been watching you as I've been doing my stuff in the gym this morning. And you are just like, I'm just so proud of you. I don't know how often you come here, but you're doing so great. And her whole face, like it made my whole day. My whole day was changed by that. And my kids were with me because my older boys work out with me in the mornings. And we left the gym and my son goes, that was really nice. And I was like, she was doing a really good job. Somebody should tell her they're proud of her. Like she's probably going to go home and think everyone else is working out harder than her.
Love what you just said. I love what you just said. Your son saw you do that and
Yeah.
they're like, Mom, that was really nice. And what do you think her sons are going to grow up doing? Complimenting people, right? And so that's another thing that act of kindness challenge. I was like, oh, you know what? I need to get some flowers. So our neighbor lost their son. One of my friends lost her dad. There's been some things, you know, happening. I'm like, you know what? I need to just go get some flowers. And so Troy picked out the flowers. We knocked on the door. He dropped them off and he loved doing that. And it's like showing our children, right? Like these little acts of kindness go a long way.
Yeah. Our hearts are meant to be kind to others. Like, let me just tell you, just like our spirit desires to be near God, like our hearts desire that fruit of that spirit, that kindness, that gentleness, that self-control. Like it's our flesh that gets in the way and our emotions and our self. I'm telling you, if you treat everyone like they are a stranger that you are meant to help and be kind to, your whole life will change. So don't overthink it. Small gestures go a long way. And we want to challenge you this week, okay? We want to challenge you to find a few moments in each day to be kind. So and we're going to post it on our Instagram and our social media, but this right now, just consider when this episode launches, that is day 1 of your challenge. And we want to challenge you every single day for, let's just say a week. Let's start with a week. That's a good, like, especially if I'm not saying that maybe you're not that kind right now. I don't know who you are, listener. Okay. But say kindness is a struggle for you. Okay. I'm going to give you 1 week and you have to intentionally be kind to someone. You can give someone a compliment. You can help a stranger. You can just show up for somebody. You know, sometimes somebody wants to talk and we like to act like we're a lot busier than we are. You have time to make time for someone. Answer the phone. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
When someone calls you that you maybe don't want to talk to, answer the phone. If your mom calls, pick up the phone. Okay? Answer the phone. Even if you're busy, you're driving, you think you don't have time to talk to her, that is an act of kindness. Okay?
But it's also, wait, sorry to interrupt, but it's also, you never know, and we talk about this a lot because we've gone through loss, you never know how long you have that person. And I'm going to throw my brothers on blast. I don't care. We lost our mom. And guess what? When my mom called, I answered every single phone call. Every single phone call. I talked to my mama every single day. When she passed away unexpectedly, we had no idea. We didn't have an opportunity to say bye. I didn't have regrets. They did because they didn't answer their call. And I'm sorry. I'm just throwing it out there because we love you. We love you hard here. And so when Cesley says, you know, answer the call when somebody's calling you, they could be going through something too. Maybe they're on the verge of doing something they shouldn't be doing and they need you. Answer the call. Like if you are available, answer the call.
Yeah. Even if and you know what? Sometimes being kind is hard. Like, let's just put that out there. Like, just like Brandi said, we're going to love you in a real way. And like, I'm gonna be honest, I have a couple friends that when they call, I know it's because they need something. I know it's not because they're just calling me to like say, hey, like we all have those people, but I know that means that when they are struggling mentally, emotionally, physically, that I'm the person that they think of, that I'm the person that God has put on their heart to call. And that's a responsibility that I have. Like it is a privilege that I have. And we have to stop thinking of ourselves. This world would tell us that our job is to be selfish, right? Like everything in our culture, especially here in America, if you're listening here in America, because apparently, Brandi, we have listeners like all over I will
I
show
love
it to you, but
that. I
like
love that for
all
us.
over the world. So if you're in a different country, I don't know what the culture is like. I'm so sorry. But if you're here in America, we're selfish, okay? We have been told take care of self first. You climb to the top. You do whatever it takes, right? And so a lot of times we think like, oh, other people's problems are not my responsibility, but they are. Like we are all interconnected. God has woven us like think of yourself as one piece of a giant puzzle for this world. You are not independent of others. You do not get to exist outside of others. So if you are existing in this bubble thinking that that's it, it's you and you alone and your family and you and your family come first, you've got to shift that thinking because there is someone out there that God has put you here to reach. And if you're cutting that cord, one, how insulting to the Lord, okay? Two, like you're missing out on the opportunity to be a life changer for someone else. I'm telling you, the second you started saying that, Brandi, I thought of this one friend who she calls me, and every time she calls, I know it's because she is going through an anxiety or something or a struggle. And sometimes in my mind, I have to process through that. And my mind at first, I'm like, oh, do I have the capacity to take this? And then I'm always like, you know what? Because it doesn't affect me either way. Like I don't take on her anxiety. I can just answer the phone and listen. And I've learned I don't have to fix it. You don't have to fix someone else's problems. Just picking up the phone and listening to them is such a big deal.
Yeah, that's good. And if you are like, if you do take on people's, because I'm like I do take on people. I used to.
I did have to learn that.
Actually, I'm getting a lot
You're
better.
getting really good at that,
I just
yeah.
realized that I'm because I'm unbothered in 2025. But a lot of times when you're
That's
an
called
empath,
growth. We are growing.
growth. You grow, girl. Okay. So you can also do something to pour into yourself after, right? So if you're on the call, she has anxiety, she's going through X, Y, and Z, and it might seem a little draining to you, then take the next 10 minutes to do something that you love. Turn your phone off, read, go for a walk, do something that fills your cup, and you're like, okay, cool. I can get back to it. But you just
love it.
You were a game changer for her, you know?
Yeah. I think that's so important. So last thing I want to say is that the world could always use more kindness. So intentionally, let's make it a habit, not an exception. Don't make it something you do every once in a while. Make it the thing that you choose to wake up and do every day.
I love that so much. Make it intentional. All right. So as we wrap up today's episode, remember that kindness is not just an act. Just like Cesley said, it's a way of life. You never know what someone is battling, but you can always choose to brighten their day with a little kindness. By sprinkling kindness like confetti, we can build a more compassionate and connected world. Let's make kindness our superpower and start creating positive ripples wherever we go. Thank you for tuning in, and we challenge you to be kind today. Whether big or small, it definitely matters. And remember, you are beautiful, you are capable, you are worthy, and we can't wait to watch you grow, girl.